When you serve your country, you would think that there would be certain advantages, rightfully so, that a citizen should be afforded. What has been the experience with your wife being detained? And it seems that you pretty much are not getting anywhere.
Yeah, it's really disheartening, like in all transparency, I don't, expect any privilege from being in the military, you know. I wish there was a better way though. Truly I wish there was a better way. Um but it's like everything you do, there's always a roadblock there, which really sucks. And it seems like the rules and regulations get changed on the daily basis. So even if you do go in with a comprehensive plan, it seems like it gets kind of shut down really quickly. So it is really disheartening.
Yeah, I disagree from the standpoint that there should be privileges. Listen, if you put your life on the line for your country, I believe that there are certain things that should be afforded to you. And unfortunately, we're seeing it right now because the complete disregard in so many respects for people that have served this country. You know, I'm not an abolitionist. I do believe that you have to have some form of law enforcement. However, this idea that we need ICE, when you fully understand the economic and political system that is the United States and how it works, and how so many people that go into the military for a variety of different reasons. The most should always be because you love your country and you want to serve it. But we all know that that's not generally how things work out that way. The people that ultimately are willing to put on the uniform are willing to do things that most people are not willing to do. And so when you do that and your country in the same breath basically says, oh, by the way, thanks for nothing, and we're going to take your wife too. I would think that that probably is something that has got to eat at you in some respect, where you say, why did I do this in the first place? Why did I join? I mean, obviously, everything, in my opinion, happens for a reason. So ultimately, you join the military, and as a result, you end up meeting your wife. But at the same time, you have to say, well, what was the purpose of me doing this in the first place? Is that something that ever comes to mind? Because I know it's very difficult. I have a good friend who was a lieutenant in the war in Iraq, and we never talk about the things that he did. You have to look back on it now and say, what was it for? Obviously, we know it was clearly not for the reasons we said we were going there. So I ask you, do you ever have those moments where you reflect and think, was it the right decision? Is that something that ever comes to mind?
So I never asked myself if it was the right decision, because when I joined for a good reason, and I know there are many others that are like me that joined for a good reason. And throughout our career, we've done, I personally, have done a lot of like positivity using the military, and the military has taught me a lot, and I've been able to to help a lot of people because of the military. Moving forward though, right, because of how the government is, the direction in which the government is going, I'm not sure if it's something that I would continue doing for the long term anymore. Ever since Steph has been taken away, I have not put on my uniform. And I don't know, honestly, if I ever will again.
I would say that if you are even contemplating that, one has to ask, what have you attempted to do to potentially have the armed forces at least draw attention to this story? And what has been the response? I'm guessing it hasn't been anywhere as fruitful as you would have hoped it would be.
Yeah, so I've reached out to a lot of people that I knew in the military, from all sorts of ranks, people who I thought could help. But unfortunately, sorry, I have to be really careful with the words that come out of my mouth when I'm still in the military. Unfortunately, no one's going to help me. I'll just say it as transparent as that. No one's going to help me. They've openly admitted they will not help me. Right. I think a lot of people in the military, unfortunately, may agree with what ICE is doing, which may be the reason why they don't want to help. Right. I understand a lot of people in the military, the easiest response is always, it's a civil matter.
Guys, stop. Let me run my show, please. Thank you.
Yeah,
We're gonna get to that in a minute, but yes, I think it's very important to understand that sort of mindset, because you are in the military and there are certain protocols that you have to follow. Again, it's no different if you were in intelligence. If you have friends that work at any of the alphabet agencies, they're regular people just like you and I, but there are certain oaths that you have to take that you cannot talk about. So I ask you, what is your wife's story and why was she detained?
Yeah, so my wife came from Venezuela back in 2021. She came here requesting asylum, and she's still ongoing her case for asylum. She did have TPS, as a lot of people that came from Venezuela. If no one knows, TPS is temporary protective status, just to say that. She did have TPS. But I guess none of that even matters. So she came here back in 2021. She's applied for asylum. She had her court date back over in January or February of 2027. So we're still waiting for her court date in 2027 to determine whether or not she was going to get asylum or not. Anyways, because she came from Venezuela and because she came the way that she came, she has to check in with ICE once a year. It's a normal thing, right? Freesteph.com. Thank you. She has to check in with ICE once a year. She has done this every year since she's been here, no problem. She usually goes, she checks all her information, make sure her address is up to date and all the other stuff, and then she's good to go. For some reason this year, she had 2 appointments. So we had one back in September, and then they had another one scheduled for December 5th. This back in September, it was about 30 minutes, and in and out, right? This time she was there for about 2 hours, and unfortunately, while she was there, she was detained. She called me while she was in there, and the only thing she was just screaming, Chris, they're taking me, call my lawyer. Yeah, sorry, that's not I don't really like talking about that one no more, but yeah.
I understand. And what can we do here to help? Because obviously, we have a modest sized podcast. Obviously, we do a decent amount of numbers on Saturday in particular. That's why I wanted to have you here, so that this can get in front of as many eyeballs as possible. What can we, the people, do to help you hopefully find some justice here in these very dire circumstances?
So I created a website, someone posted it earlier, which is called freesteph.com. freesteph.com. Thank you. Yeah, whoever posted that, freesteph.com. So on there, there's 3 links that you can use to help us out. The first link is to email our senators, right? So the senators and the congressmen, they can't directly step in and say, hey, release her, right? But it definitely brings a lot of attention to her name, right? So it makes her stay relevant, right? So if anything does happen to her case that's negative, one of the Congress members are likely to check in on that case, all right, and kind of help us out on that aspect. Another thing you can do, obviously, so emailing the senators is one of the buttons. Another thing is we're just trying to get as many congressmen involved as we can. Again, just to keep eyeballs on her case. If you guys have ever heard about a lot of the stories with people with ICE, it's not really fair in there. When she goes to her hearing, it's not fair. Right. And so if we have members of Congress that are keeping an eye on this, there's a chance that if something happens that's wrong, they can step in and help us out. Like she went to one of her hearings, for example, and it was supposed to be her bond hearing back on December 29th. The ICE agent, who's the prosecuting attorney, literally stepped in and said that he didn't review her file whatsoever, but he considered her a flight risk. Right. Like he openly admitted, he literally said, hey, sorry, just got thrown this case a couple minutes ago. Yeah, let me look at one thing. He looked at our marriage certificate, saw that we got married recently, and determined her to be a flight risk. Right. So when things like that happen, it's helpful to have, somebody that can step in and kind of help us on our behalf. So those 2 things are like the biggest things ever. And the last thing is just the donation. Right. That's not one that I really want to push. Truly, I don't, because I think everybody has their own financial problems, right? So that's not one that I truly like to push. But if you do want to donate, what we're going to do with those donations is obviously that's going to be for Steph and her legal fees. But once she's home, we've noticed there are a lot of people in there that are just like her, but they don't have any money, right? So for us we're trying to help everybody file something, get some kind of legal representation, right? And so what we've done so far is we've been able to help 2 girls out with lawyers so far, and we're going to continue to do the same thing. So one of the things that's working for a lot of people, I don't know if this will work forever, and I don't know if it's the straight way to go, but a lot of people are filing habeas corpuses. If you guys have been following this, but in order for us to do that from a lawyer, lawyers typically charge about $3,500 to about like $6,000, and there are people in there with Steph right now, no criminal backgrounds. They're not bad people. They're really good people. They just don't have any money, right? And so we want to use some of those funds to help those people out too, because Steph's not the only one. She's not alone.
No, there's thousands, and it's only going to get worse because, again, like I said, if this was truly about immigration, this is a whole other story regarding the economic system that we're currently under. It's, again, like I said, this is one of the hard lessons in life about serving your country, is that once you learn how it works, it's hard to look at it the same. That being said, what state are you based in, and where is this trial taking place?
So we're here in Texas. She's over in Houston, at the Houston, they call it the Houston Processing Center. So that's where her next one's going to be at, here in 4 days, actually. So hopefully
Okay.
we get some good news. So it's just a master
Well,
hearing.
I actually have a suggestion that I think
Please.
could actually help, because right now,
Please.
as you know, if you're in Texas, you have the primary election that's happening right now. Have you had the opportunity to get in touch with either Jasmine Crockett or James Tellerico?
Yeah, I reached out to Jasmine Crockett a few times. She followed me on Instagram, which was amazing because of the video. I don't think she has the chance to get back to me yet, but I've reached out a million times.
I know Jasmine. She's been on the show a couple of times. I'll be happy to send a message on your behalf.
Thank you.
As far as your congressman, is it the one-eyed pirate, or who is your
I'm not too sure who that is. It's my congressman is Lloyd Doggett.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, unfortunately for you, Lloyd Doggett is well, you could reach. I mean, Jen knows, Joaquin Castro. I mean, I could try to shoot him a message as well and see if I could get his attention. I'd be happy to do it. And he's been out there in San Antonio doing that on the regular, but he's been going to a lot of different places to try to help people out. I would think, because of the fact, and I hate the fact that this is political, but with Tellerico and Crockett, someone's always looking for political opportunism to make an impression. If that's what it takes to free your wife, then so be it. And also Greg Stoker, he is somebody to connect with. So what I'm going to do with our friend Rachel is I'm going to put a list together of different people to reach to see who would potentially be willing to at least lend a hand. I can tell you right now, Lloyd Doggett, don't even bother. Waste of time. When you have a person who's older than the two of us put together and is still in Congress, that's unfortunately not a good sign. And that's a big problem in general. But two people that have a lot going right now, and they're younger and they're trying to make an impression, I would think that there's probably something to be said for that. And as far as Senator Corwin is concerned, I think he's probably not somebody who's going to give too much attention to this. But we will try. We will do everything we can to try to help. That's what we do here. And so, guys, if you would be so inclined, please make sure that you go to freesteph.com, because if there is anything that we can do, we the people, to draw more attention to this story, that's what we're here to do. And we certainly hope that, if for no other reason, we put all the cards on the table to try to make this right. We're happy to do it, Chris. Final thoughts before you go.
Man, I really just want to say thank you to everybody like you, right? Everybody who's using their platform to help, everybody who's just supporting. If you can't see the bags under my eyes, man, it's been a long journey, so the support truly keeps me motivated, and it keeps us going, and thank you guys. That's truly all I want to say.
I want to thank you for your service, but I also want to thank you for your candor and the fact that you have been able to maintain. I mean, listen, when the camera's not on and you're all alone, I can only imagine the rage that builds up. But with that being said, it's very hard to maintain a level head in these times. But I would like to think that if there is any reason for hope, and at least knowing that you're not alone, because times like this, it does feel daunting and hopeless, but you have a lot of people out there who have your back. And if thousands of people who will hopefully end up seeing this decide to go to freesteph.com and get involved in the littlest of ways, if it's a contribution, if it's spreading the word on social media, and then it's obviously calling your senators, your congressmen, despite the fact I don't think Lloyd even knows he's here anymore. But with that being said, we're going to do everything we can to help. And we thank you so much for coming on this evening, and stay in the fight. And we'll hopefully be speaking again when a positive development comes up. We hope you'll come back once not if, but once your wife is free.
Thank you guys. Thank everybody so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.